Background music for this podcast is used with permission from the Hustle Cat soundtrack. If you like it, please check out at SAMMNEILAND or that same name at .bandcamp.com. You can see in the description below. Thank you. Hey everybody, welcome to Visual Novel Book Club. I'm your pal Slowbeef. With me, of course, my good friend Polahoko.
Hey ya.
D-Back.
It's me.
Turbo.
Okay, but do you think Hayes really actually wants to fuck that cat?
Jim.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. What are we doing here? What's going on here? We're doing the Landry route, the final route, or so to speak.
The final
normal route.
Landry, was he as boring as you thought he'd be, folks?
No.
Partially.
Yeah.
Only partially, though.
Only a little bit.
I don't know if this is the time, but I had a theory about the Landry route.
He's not dead.
No, this is... Alright, this is my theory, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Landry and Finley are like the easy mode of Hustle Cat.
Yeah.
Was what I was thinking.
Oh, they're like the
No pun
beginner
intended, but-
version.
Yeah. Yep. Because they know
Yeah.
you're going to get attracted to one or the other. Yep.
Yeah,
Right,
I
Landry's
was sort of thinking that too, because like the first two things can like lock you into Landry's route, which are just like, yeah, sure, I'll have some coffee, and I'd be happy to work with someone like you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
pretty
This
courteous
route.
things to say.
This route's thirsty as hell. Like, damn.
Yeah, right off the bat.
Yep.
Right, like day one, step through the door, not even hired yet. Like, ooh, who's this?
Look at his,
Yeah,
look at his long strides and big hands. Mmm.
We've been plopped into the universe with an extra horny Avery this time.
Yep.
Yeah, Avery in this, I think, is I feel like Avery's the most different in this. Or maybe it's just like total whiplash from Hayes to Landry, but like this Avery seems like a very different person.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Because I think we've hesitated to say aggressive before, but this is aggressive Avery.
Yeah, this is aggressive
Yeah.
flirting, aggressive, very forward, and usually likes
This
to
is
get
Avery
Landry
trying.
riled
This is
up.
Avery
Yeah, this
that
is Avery
knows-
trying.
This is Avery
Yeah.
that actually
Avery
knows what
that
flirting
knows what-
is.
Yeah,
Beat you there.
yeah, you
It's
did.
wild. I don't even know how to recognize this Avery that knows what flirting is. and it's right off the bat. Again, like we show up for the job, and we're like, yeah, I'll have some coffee, and Landry's explaining the place to us, and just gives us the basics of the cafe, and then we have the opportunity to be like, to say, you seem really fun to work with, like that's why I want to get the job here. And like we're flirting from the very first second, and Landry brings us coffee, and
We
it's
feel
got
his
a lot of
muscles.
it's got a lot of milk and sugar in it, and he's like, oh, I made it the way I drink it, I don't know if this is still too strong for you. And Avery is like, no, this is just how I like it, you have excellent taste. It's like fucking right off the bat, like just like totally different game.
Oh, wait, and then you missed the point where Avery spills a bunch of cream and then slurps it on up.
Hey, now this is a kids podcast.
What? Where have you... Who the hell are you?
So yeah,
Where have you been in the past? This is not a kid's podcast.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's after dark.
I wouldn't let my damn kids listen to cat shitting you turds or anything.
oh my god.
Well, that's just sad.
You thought you were escaping it, didn't you? Alright, sorry. Anyway.
Never again. We're just gonna talk about it every episode from now on. This is gonna be part of our sign-off.
No, that's... Yeah, I guess it has to.
Eventually,
too much for you?
Eventually,
Is
we're
that
gonna
all-
get an actual sign off. That's gonna be like
Never.
season 8. It's gonna happen though. I'm gonna push for that.
It's gonna be a Patreon reward tier. So you get to pick what our sign-off is.
It's just a fucking brown note.
What even happens? We have a coffee, And Hayes is there as a cat, although obviously we don't know he's a cat yet.
Yeah, did
and
he
is
get
there
insulted?
to be offended.
Yeah, did he get
Yeah.
insulted by us not making the coffee right?
Yeah, well, because we wanted it too much cream and sugar.
Yeah.
Because we like it how Landry likes it, and apparently Hayes just hates all of his coworkers, I guess.
People.
Yeah, clearly.
People, that's right.
The next thing I wrote in my notes is all of our comments about Landry boil down to him big. I don't remember
Me likey.
what all the comments are.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much like, oh, he's tall. Oh, he's got muscles. He's got big muscles.
Big hands. Ooh,
I wonder
boy,
if he could
that
hold me
is-
with those
Guts.
big muscles.
It's so like it's so
Thirsty
much
is
like
what
a
they call it.
regular romance novel type sounding thing. I don't know. It's just very like so I was saying before the recording, like Avery in this, to me, I hit a certain point and I was like, I feel like Avery is has she her pronouns in this. I can't imagine Avery as anything other than a straight woman in this particular route. And like I have not been sort of hit by that in any of the other ones, but like this sort of like takes on such a different flavor of it, and like the way that they flirt with each other really hard right off the bat, which is not like the Avery that we've seen who doesn't know what flirting is. The fact that Landry has these like all these like stereotypically masculine like trademarks, like being huge and doing like being a craftsman.
Yeah,
Sweating.
so like,
Oh yeah, that's right.
so
He's a
like, I didn't have
craftsman
the
now.
same sort of Avery as a girl in this route, but it definitely felt more. There was a masculine and a feminine person in this relationship.
It's funny, yeah. Like I didn't pick up on that.
There's a
while
top and a
reading it, but
bottom.
once you
It
said
is-
that, yeah.
But there's just like I feel like there's so many like straight romance signifiers that it just becomes that. I don't know, especially like Avery is talking to Landry, and like later as we go down the path and they finally have more of a scene together and he's like building something and Avery like winks at him and he like drops his hammer and it's like I don't know, it's just such a weird like he's and Avery like the whole time is like enjoying making him flustered in a way that is very qualitatively different from the way that Avery enjoyed making Reese or Hayes flustered.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know. It's still like I feel like this is a different character, like much more than any of the other routes.
Right.
Although
So also
someone
there's-
listening to you
there's
talk
not-
about dropping the hammer and stuff might assume we're talking about gay porn. So we could be on a completely different level depending on I think it's more informed by what we've experienced before. Like the transition from the other Averys we've seen to this one.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can see that totally smacking as like, oh, this seems like a more like, traditional dynamic that we've seen in sort of these things that are portraying, straight romance. Whereas everything else sort of like had a lot of
Stromance,
ambiguity.
as I call it.
Yes.
Stromance, right?
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot more wiggle room in the other ones.
So we
I don't
have
know.
specifically two unique scenes with Landry that I can recall. We have the first one, which is, oh, I want to work with this cutie, and another one, which is later. I forget the exact time frame, but we get the chance to go meet up with everyone, and Landry is making a ramp.
A ramp for a cat that has, I think it's hyper. I don't know. It's some kind of disorder cats have where
Hypoplasia.
where they are off balance or something. and they're
Yeah.
building a
No,
ramp
I
so the
looked
cat
up.
doesn't
I looked
hurt
up a
itself.
video after this because I was like, I wonder how bad the it is, and pretty bad is the answer. They
poor kitty.
they're like functional and they don't really mind it. It's just like they have a lot of trouble with balance.
So yeah, he's building accessible ramps for all the cat trees so that this cat doesn't fall off of them.
And that one was a Graves request.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Landry has like a more of a direct relationship with Graves. I guess a lot in the same way like Reese kind of does, where like there's some kind of history there versus Graves just being this like enigmatic figure.
Mm-hmm. Like I consider him to see Graves as more like boss subordinate where Graves will just come to him and I need this project done. I need you to build this or that, because it's revealed that he actually built a lot of the stuff within the cafe, the cat kind of houses and stuff.
And Landry is also like the real manager versus Reese, who's the fake manager.
Assistant manager.
Yeah. And like Landry's the one who's actually doing managing, and Reese is the one
Right.
who's like playing games.
Right.
But so yeah, so Avery goes up to Landry and is like, can I help with this cat thing that you're building? And at first he says like, you don't have to, and then Avery's like, no, I want to, and he's like, and just kind of like brushes us off, and like honestly, I don't trust Avery with tools either, so like good call. But Avery's kind of being like kind of a little pushy, and they start like talking while Landry's working, and like Landry sort of like periodically gets distracted because working and building stuff seems like very meditative for him, and he just like gets completely focused on it and ignores what else is going on around him. And he mentions, he's like, yeah, I like working with my hands, and that's why Graves gave me this workshop that's set up in the basement. And he says, did you see all those saws in the basement? Those are for me. That's my workshop. Which I love, because like I don't think we see saws in the basement in that image, so it just like adds to like the being creeped out by the basement thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Avery's like, oh, I thought they were for like dissecting zombies or something, and Landry like gives us a hard pat on the back and is like, no, like don't be mean, like Graves is really a nice guy. And a thing that we've kind of noticed about Landry before, but like really comes out in this scene, is that like Landry is nice, but also like very passive aggressive in a way that like I identify with as someone from the southern United States. Where like you're like to be like, you don't have to, when you really mean no, I don't want you to help me, don't help me. Like that same kind of thing of like being like way over the top to sort of couch everything that you say in ambivalence when you really mean no, and like people should know that you mean no, but you're just, it's impolite to say just no.
No is a bad word.
Sure. Oh, you bring
wanna be
something?
rude.
You don't have to bring anything, which means last time you brought shitty chicken wings, get them the fuck out.
Yeah, or it can mean you do have to bring something.
Yeah, like I get this. It's there's a party going on, family gathering. You don't have to bring anything, but if you decide you do want to bring something, bring some wine, which basically means bring wine.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is also sort of the, I know you can't prepare anything, so I'm going to give you something easy to get off the hook. That's my favorite. I love being able to bring wine.
And so, yeah, so Landry has a lot of those kind of things where, like, he's sort of euphemizing things and being, like, trying to be really neutral. And so then Avery, then this thing happens that I mentioned, where Avery just like straight up like winks at him and is like, oh, this must be, did you design some of these? And he's like, oh, most of them are Grave designs. And Avery's like, well, that it must be some of your creative genius in there too. And then winks, and then he drops the hammer that he's working on this cat tree with. And just something about, like, giggling and laughing at a boy and winking so that he gets flustered. I was just like, what is this? Who is this?
Yeah.
This is someone that has experience with flirting almost.
Yeah,
This
weird.
is almost like, what if Hustle Cat, it turned out Avery was learning every single route. And then, like, if you had done this on a different route, Avery would totally have flirted with Finley or whatever. But anyway.
Yeah, well, we don't know. That would be
We do.
great, actually.
That sounds like a lot of writing. That sounds
Yeah.
like a whole bunch of writing.
So the basement scene, the next thing that happens.
Real
is,
quick before we actually get into
yeah.
the basement scene. So I was noticing as we went through the paths that I looked at all the routes, and there's one decision tree. Well, there's a couple decision trees that aren't you. If you followed the route guides exactly, you wouldn't ever see. The other ones I've talked about before, but one of them we haven't gone down as specifically, even though we have talked about it before. Which is when Finley says, "Hey, hot stuff, can you get us some coffee?" I was like,
yes.
You can say something along the lines of, "You know where the coffee is." I was like, I guess you don't have to pick that for any of the routes. Well, I'm going to pick it now. And just for the full 100% experience, Avery says, you know where the coffee is, why don't you go get it yourself? Finley doesn't take that as an insult, actually, and is just like, oh, come on, I'm beat. You know, I was Jelly Donut all day, I was entertaining. And Avery's just like, oh, okay, that makes sense. How do you like your coffee? And then just go gets the coffee.
That almost sounds like that is maybe like after you've played some of these routes and been sufficiently annoyed by Finley, like you would be like, oh, this girl again. I'm tired of you.
You know, you ask me for coffee in every route, right? And she's like, what?
This is one constant in every timeline, and I cannot escape.
It just turned into Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
And because in this route and in Hayes, and I think some of the other routes too, she's just all up in our business all the time. Being like, you like someone.
Oh, this one especially too, but we haven't done it yet.
Yep.
So the fast forward to the basement scene where, to remind everyone, the basement scene is when Avery chooses to tell the person that they have a crush on that they can break the cat curse, and that they're going to they want them to come over and study magic.
For those of you at home wondering if we skipped something, like, I feel like the Landry route up to the basement scene is very bookended, meaning like it front loads your scenes with Landry right at the front, and then everything else, there's just like this big gap of non-Landry, right?
Yeah, so
basically,
everything that we have, everything Landry related, there's only 2 scenes that are specific to Landry that we haven't covered in other episodes. So if you got shit to say, you haven't listened to all of our stuff.
But, but that's why we also decided to read a little farther ahead, right?
Right.
Because,
Right. And also, just real quick, just to clarify, there are 2 basement scenes.
No! Anyway, so let's go. No, I'm just kidding.
There's 2 basement scenes. The first basement scene is innocuous and short, but it is a little different.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you actually have the thing where you know, this determining scene, I think it happens in every route where you end up meeting your crush in the basement. And in that one, Landry just tells us that he collects rocks and scrap metal that he thinks looks cool.
Yeah, like he says this to Avery, and Avery's like, oh, so you find it and you bring it home and you use your workshop to make it into cool stuff, right? And he says, and Landry's like, no, I just think it looks cool. So
and he's embarrassed.
I love
He's
this because I
embarrassed
relate to this. Sometimes I see a rock and I'm like, that's a cool rock, and I pick it up. And then I just realize, what am I going to do with this fucking rock? But I like it.
and then Avery goes, what a dork, and Hayes thinks he's talking about him, and it's a whole thing.
So, like, this also, to me, was, like, such a, like, you know, you go into it and you're like, wow, Landry's really boring, and then this, and then
What sort of things do you like? Rocks? Wow, you're super interesting.
To be fair, Avery says what they collect, and it's soda tabs. So I don't see how that's much better.
And Avery doesn't specify it's soda tabs that from like sodas they've drank. It's just soda tabs. Because Landry offers to get them some more. And it's like, okay, that sounds good. That'll add to my collection.
Are y'all familiar with that in real life? Like the idea of having a string or a necklace of soda tabs? And like, that's a thing? Because that's like a thing from when I was a kid. I remember people did that.
I've heard of it, yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I vaguely remember.
Okay.
It is also a very boring thing to collect.
I'm wearing mine.
Yeah, it strikes me as like a kid thing, to do.
Like
but it makes sense with Avery's like trash magic.
God, yeah, it does. I hate when you're right.
Why do you hate when she's right?
I know, you must hate this whole podcast then.
Oh.
It's about how right I am.
Let's not go nuts here.
Let me just make fun of Avery. Don't let me. I want to bully every character
boy.
in this visual novel.
Oh, I thought you were talking about DVAC. That's why I was.
That's
all
also
right, I got
me,
it.
though. I also feel that way.
Oh, got it. Yeah, makes sense. Gotcha.
No, because she said it makes sense, and I'm like, well, if it makes sense, then I can't bully Avery. But no.
Got it. There's always room to bully Avery.
That's true.
I
So
pride
time-
myself on bullying fictional characters.
Well,
So they then I don't know. They like it's Landry's so normal, and like he also like kind of like normalizes all the stuff that's in the basement that's weird. Like he's like, it's just this. Like it's not that weird. Like this isn't spooky. Like,
He's like,
he
these
doesn't
aren't
play along with
these
any
aren't
of the
skeletons
jokes.
in the closet.
let's be honest here. Like, if Landry in 99% of cases would be blowing it right now. It's like, come on, like, yeah, no, like, you're like, isn't it so weird down here? Nah. Like, oh, man, like, I can't connect with you at all. You collect fucking rocks. Like, get at it. It's just not
He's
working.
kind
I'm
of
No,
sorry.
that's
Boring.
perfect. That's like the easiest person to get gifts for.
Yeah.
But it also, like, that's
For?
the classic, like, oh, this dude's really fucking hot, so he doesn't need a fucking personality.
Wait, no. We're not skipping past this. What the hell do you look for in a partner where it's like, that person be easy to get gifts for?
Because he collects rocks.
Man,
Well, I
I'm
mean, Avery's
Just
19.
find a cool fucking rock.
Dude, Sheila, yeah, I wouldn't have to spend any time shopping for her. Like, what a practical way.
Distracted by shiny objects, I got a bunch of shiny objects.
I think that's sweet. You walk down the road, you see a rock, and it's like, oh, that reminded me of you. Here you go.
I was gonna go out and pick up a gift, but instead I walked down my sidewalk.
I thought you'd like this. I went all the way to the backyard for it.
This is like little kids.
Mm-hmm.
I found you a cool rock because I like you. Although there are expensive cool rocks that you can get people,
Yeah.
but it's not really the kind that
Those are
Landry's
called
talking
engagement
about.
rings.
Rocks are a girl's best friend.
Oh, that's a...
Rocks are a conspiracy invented by the Beers family.
We're killing the rock industry.
So,
Hey, I accidentally stepped on a rusty nail. It's yours now, Landry. Here you go.
Is it my anniversary? Our anniversary already? Sorry.
oh my god. So then they then what happens? So then they leave the basement, right?
Yeah, they leave the basement, and then from there, it's pretty much business as usual until
Oh right,
it
and then
comes
it's
time
like
to talk about talk about the book, right?
Yeah, you gotta
right,
choose the
right.
one person to tell about magic, and it happens to be a second
so,
basement.
So when I remember now. So like when Avery first kind of like breaks the. Does it take or no? He doesn't. So the first time they're in the basement, they don't talk about. That's not the like your crush.
Nope.
Talk about the book thing, and
No.
then that's just a thing that's
yeah.
happens
I
in the
see what you're
basement.
getting. It's weird. It's like of the two beginning scenes that are front loaded into the first half of the story. The second one ends in the basement, and then the next new scene pretty much begins in the basement.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I know who to talk to about magic, and it's Landry.
Well, but first
Landry, the guy who
you gotta get
seems
somebody to cover
super-
for you.
The guy who seems super interested in everything I have to say, Landry.
But then, yeah, who do we get to cover for us?
Reese and
It's
Finley.
Reese.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So Avery goes up and talks to Reese and Finley because they can't stand it, and they need to talk to Landry right now, but he's working, and so they go upstairs to ask Reese and Finley, please cover so that I can talk to Landry. And Finley immediately responds in all caps, "Are you finally going to tell him?" And she's like, "Reese, it's happening."
I completely love this whole conversation because Finley is going whole hog, Reese is going whole hog in his own way.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, like Reese gives him shit and is like, well, we'll cover for, this amount of time. Don't get too carried away or something. And then At
Well,
some
so,
point,
like,
Avery just becomes flustered and is just like, you know what, forget it. Forget I even mentioned it. And then Reese is like, look, dude, we'll cover for him. I was just giving you shit. Like, we're not going to not, go tell him what you need to tell him.
Yeah, Avery gets so embarrassed at, like, what they're insinuating and all that. And eventually even, Reese says, okay, yeah, no, we'll cover for you, whatever. And Finley, has my favorite response to it, which is, oh, don't worry, I'm sure Avery will be happy to cover for you when you confess to and gets...
Oh, that's right.
Gets his
cut
hand
off,
covered.
and Reese goes, I will destroy you!
Yep.
Who do you think he was gonna... Who do you think Reese has a crush on in this
I'm gonna say
timeline?
it's another universe Avery. Who's just there this time.
So, like, I was gonna say Avery, but, like, that wouldn't make sense in the context. So, like, it's either
thinking
Hayes, Mason,
I think it's Mason.
Landry, or Graves.
I was thinking Graves.
So, like, as I was
I think
listening
it's
people
Mason.
out, I think it's the cop.
I think Hayes.
Oh, it could be the cop.
She's back this time, y'all.
Anime lady cop. It totally could be.
Gina.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. I think it's Mason, because in the other route, he's like, don't get too close to her, or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is the
I was
first time
trying,
we've got
she
some
pushed
kind
me
of-
away, and I'm
You think there was some
kidding.
kind of jealousy thing going on there?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because it is kind of a thing like, oh, you got to watch out for her. And then Avery gets pissed off like, you don't even know her. You don't tell me to watch out for her.
Yeah. And then, so then Avery is like, internal monologuing, like, about, oh, well, I want to go talk to him about magic. Like, do I have a crush on Landry? And it's like, there's our friend, old Avery. Is this flirting gray? We missed you, old buddy. So we go to talk to Landry and are like, hey, do you have time to talk? And Landry's like, oh, I'm working right now, though. And then Finley immediately barges in from off screen and is like, I can cover for you. And then Avery's response line to Finley is Avery saying, thanks, pal, which I immediately read in slowbeef's voice, and just that one line.
Thank you, Finley.
Found our
Thanks,
canon
pal.
voice actor.
Landry. Oh. I thought I was a Hayes.
No, it's Avery who says, thanks, pal.
Oh! What, like, thanks, pal, or...
Like, in a sarcastic way to
Thanks,
Finley
pal.
for interrupting. Like, thanks, pal.
I would have...
I can't even say it with the same way that you say it. I can just hear it perfectly.
Is that like a line of mine? I had no idea. Like, thanks, pal.
Well,
Oh,
haven't
it's
you
like
seen
your
the
catchphrase.
You
t-shirts?
just said it! It's perfect!
I'm going to be making the t-shirt tonight, the first piece of VNBC merch.
The level of
Thanks,
dismissiveness and the fact that it was an aside.
Yeah, haven't you seen the t-shirts with your face on them where it's just underneath, it's thanks, pal, in quotations?
So they go to the basement again to talk, and there's awkwardness of like, oh, what are we talking about? And then Landry kind of goes forward with the conversation being about work, and is like, oh, are you having a hard time at work? Like, are you trying to, like, oh, you can talk to me if you have any problems. Oh, that's what's happening right now. Well, are you having any problems? And
Yeah, Landry comes off as like overly nice about it. It's like, oh, it's do you have any questions? Do you need to take more breaks? Do you need a day off? Or, what's going on?
Landry wants to be a good manager, and we got that from the other routes too. And then Avery's like, no, like, I want to talk to you about breaking the curse, cat curse. I think I figured it out. And Landry immediately dismisses us and is like, no, you're not going to be able to do it.
No, you don't.
Which is wild. Like he
at
totally
first-
like flips and is like really dark all of a sudden and is like, yeah, like, oh, you found that book? Yeah, like, I found it too, and I tried to read it, but Landry didn't have the cipher, so he couldn't read it, and he's like, magic is really scary, and we shouldn't mess around with it, and, like, the consequences are too big.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you don't even know enough to be as scared as you should be.
You don't even
Yeah.
know
I'm
anything,
an
and
adept,
anyway, it's
and-
probably not even going to work. So why don't we just go do something else?
I'm an adept and I can't even do it, so what the fuck are you gonna do? That sort of thing.
Yeah, but he doesn't talk about what an adept is or anything like that.
He does mention it, though.
Yeah. I guess we kind of, it's implied at least so far what it is. But he's got this kind of like defeat to his perspective on magic, where it's just like, this is so dangerous and so overwhelming, and he, like, in that way of like, something really bad happened to me and I don't want to talk about it, but like, this is more serious than you think it is.
Yeah. Like,
but-
he's got this very kind of, the overarching message is like, magic isn't fun. It's not like Dungeons and Dragons or like pretend time. Magic is actually scary, and you need to cut it out.
Like it.
And like, we've kind of like missed that, and we've been pointing it out, like, how scary things really are in all the other routes, and here it kind of was like, yes, it is actually, like, this is actually terrifying, and it seems appropriate to treat it with that level of seriousness.
That's why I think Landry's route is sort of one of the ones that is intended to go first.
Yeah.
Because it gives you that sort of taste for it. And then everything else is happy-go-lucky from there on. Where he sends someone into the void. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But Avery is like, well, I have this bookmark, and like, can't you at least just give it a shot? Like, do you think I don't know what I'm doing? Like, I know what I'm doing. I'm not, and Landry's like, yeah, I guess, like, if it was anybody else, I would be like, no, but it is you, and I like kind of trust you, so I'll give you a chance, as long as we can order a pizza. And Landry says the Graves doesn't like pizza, and Avery's like, I knew, I didn't trust him.
Avery's like, be still my beating heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, pizza. I wrote in my notes, the Graves doesn't like pizza because he's an adult, Avery. Like, it's so much of that, like, oh, like, all the kids want a pizza party, but the teachers don't, like that kind of thing.
But, alright, so we get to this. I don't know if we want to get to this, but I'll hint at it right now. What's his name? Landry isn't a kid, really.
Yeah, he's old.
Yeah.
Kind of.
He's an old fuck. I don't
Well,
know.
he's old enough to
He's
drink.
probably younger than me, but he's old enough to drink.
Yeah, he could, he's old enough to have a job and also go to a bar after his
He
job.
says his age, I think, at one point.
Does he?
Yeah.
Does it?
What age is that?
We're skipping ahead, but it's okay. He says he's 25, I think.
Damn.
Oh, a little baby.
Dating a 19-year-old? Oh, I don't know. But then they go
what's
out
that?
to the front.
It's just on the cusp because it's half plus 7, so that's 19.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's how we all govern our lives, with that mathematical
science.
equation
Yeah,
It's very
that
scientific
governs
thing.
emotional maturity.
I had never heard of that.
I don't know. Is Landry also a YouTube star?
Is this where Dirty Landry becomes a thing?
No, please.
No, I didn't mean to go down that route. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Stop trying to make Dirty Landry happen.
He's pure. He'd never heard a fly. Oh wait, later in the round.
Just milkshake duck Landry.
So then we go out to the front of the cafe again, where Finley is working, and Gina's there, the cop.
Yeah.
The lady cop, she's there.
And she's got like a really short scene where Finley's like, "Oh, hey Gina, the cop," and Gina's like, "Hey Finley," and then they move on
We're
to the
friends.
And then
next
that's
scene.
it. Bye. I'm leaving now.
So,
I'm the
It's a
only
breakout
customer that ever
character.
comes to the cafe.
I love that. That scene is so dumb and bad. Like, it's so like
It's so dumb
goofy.
and bad.
It's like also Gina and Finley are friends. Like, it just feels like
But
that
like
was
Gina
dropped in there.
gets summoned by the hashtag.
Yeah, specifically to like fuck with me and like my weird like trying to figure out what Gina is in like this world. Like,
So by the
what
way,
does it mean?
It
So,
feels
by
like
the way-
Sesame
Is
Street. It
Finley's
feels like
familiar.
here's Grover and Grover's friend, the cop.
No, hold on. No, I have a rule for this season of Visual Novel Book Club. If there is any inside baseball about Gina, we can't know it. I don't want anyone to say, "Oh, I know the people at Date Night. Oh, they only had one piece of art," or Gina is an inside joke. We can never know what Gina's deal is.
No, that is an eternal secret. But to Devak's point of like, I think they're trolling specifically her. I did notice that Hustle Cat actually updated today on Steam. They say it was just bug fixes.
Oh,
For
it's Gina
Sadie.
Root. It's the Gina Root.
They said it was.
I love that little whisper. What? Wait, hold the fucking phone here.
Were we finally
on, I
gonna
have
have
to-
like a special adventure with Gina and Rasmodius or whatever his name was?
And Mochi.
This changes everything. I have to update
Oh,
the
the
charts.
Gina and Rasmodius would have been Mochi's dateable options.
Oh my god. How much money do I have to raise? It's already long gone. It's not. I
I
can't
don't
see
know,
in
it
my
was
heart.
only
No.
it was only off by like 1,000. I mean, we could probably make that happen. Maybe.
You gotta get in contact with the Mabim Bam boys. Get them in there.
Oh, of
Like,
course,
yo, guys,
to fully
come on.
voice it.
All of them just voiced Rasmodius at once.
Oh my god. Oh, all I need is one route just voiced by those guys. That would be fan
So do a lot of people. Alright. So,
All right, I'm fucking around. Sorry.
yes. So Finley like takes her break to go hang out with Gina the cop, and then the next we skip to the end of the day, and where Avery's gonna go take Landry home with them, and Avery goes to turn off the light in the basement, and Landry's down there, and I guess Landry has been stress carpenting for the whole day.
Just sand
So
in his
it's clear
wood.
that like Landry builds things when he's stressed out, and like to almost a degree of absurdity. and so then Avery's like, okay, are you ready to go? Like everybody else is gone, and Landry takes a break from whatever he's doing and like leans his head back against Avery, who's standing, and so it's like kind of like
Yeah.
against them, and like they are like, I want to pat his head.
But that would have
which
been
is,
too
like,
weird.
But it's
Yeah,
it's such an intimate
Friends
moment.
don't do that.
No, you don't lean your head back into somebody's stomach unless you really like them. Like that's right there. That's a signal.
That
mean,
yeah,
I can think-
that's a
I
little
can-
bit of a too close of a social physical contact for just friends.
Yeah, well, and especially like the only thing I can think of is like really old friends or something, maybe. But even then, like it's such an intimate moment. Like it's not how you would do it. It's so like obviously like here it is, the like sexual tension between these characters. Here it is. It's been here the whole time. It's right in front of everybody. It's very obvious. And it's such a weird difference between this and the other routes. And so they leave to go to Avery's house, and Avery tries to watch Landry transform into a cat. What kind of cat is he? He's a Maine Coon?
He is a Maine Coon.
So that's a big furry cat.
Real big.
And,
If you've never
and we
seen a
didn't
picture of
say-
a Maine Coon, go Google it right now. They are just all fur.
We didn't say in the beginning, also when Avery first meets Landry, they're like, that's weird that this is a cat cafe, because like he seems like more of a dog person, and I guess like a Maine Coon is a very like shaggy dog, but a cat type thing, I guess.
Yeah, it's
I don't know. I
It's
don't
a decent
really-
comparison.
They have really long tails too, I think.
Yeah, I don't think that a Maine. I personally did not think like, oh, what's the most dog-like cat? I didn't think about a Maine Coon
Yeah.
as that.
He
So basically,
Yeah, I wasn't
if you can't
picturing
commit
that.
to a dog, get yourself a Maine Coon.
But so Avery peeks and tries to watch Landry transform, just like with Reese, and sneezes because the magic, you can't watch him transform. But Landry doesn't know that that's why, and so just says, "Oh, bless you." And so there's another piece of evidence to the point of, like, maybe you're supposed to do Landry sooner in your ordering of routes, and then, like, this is another sort of, like, plant that seed of, like, oh, it's magic, that's why. And they have a whole conversation on their way back. Like, this route is also, like, very different in a lot of ways, like, that they have a lot more, like, sort of natural conversations, like, they actually talk on the way back, a lot more, and Landry says that he's from this city, this unnamed city.
This very like the city really feels like Japan, but it is not Japan. I guess it's just like this is a Western visual novel, but it's like what?
It's Seattle, where a certain book is dropped from the sky, and the boy's life is about to change. Anyway.
Well, the streets are really
please.
Like if you look at the art, the streets are really narrow, and there's like a video game used place on like every street.
Yeah, it looks like it's supposed to be.
That is a lot like Seattle,
Japanese town. Yeah, who knows? It's
I wonder
a
if it's
city.
I wonder if it's kind of like almost like a little Phoenix Wright-ish kind of thing, like, you know, the whole Japanfornia deal there. It's like
it's Big Hero 6.
San Francisco, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, side is Big Hero 6 good?
Yes.
The movie, yeah.
I've been on like a Disney, like I don't know, I just saw Moana and Zootopia and I like them, so maybe I gotta watch that.
Does it matter if it's good? Aren't you, as a person with children, eventually going to be forced to watch it?
Yeah, but like here's the thing, I gotta put something on for them now. Peppa Pig is gonna fucking kill me at some point. Like I'm just gonna have that aneurysm where I have monkeys on the bed or jumping on YouTube, so if I can put on a damn entertaining-ish Disney movie, then at least that works.
I hear there's
the
some
whole
YouTube
merge
videos with like Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck that can.
Yeah, for kids to watch.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, no, that totally
Yeah,
works.
I hear the funny stories.
It's all about pregnancy and learning about it.
God, I can't believe all that shit. Sorry, yeah.
So yeah, Landry is from the city. He grew up here. And Avery, as we know, has moved here from somewhere else, somewhere that is further out in the country, and kind of like is like, oh, well, I'm from the country and it's boring, and I wanted to get out of there as soon as I could. And Landry's like, well, there's some good things from like towns like that, and like you. And it's like so, it's so like this is so
Nerd.
like I like that it's so straightforward. But it's like, I've been completely severed from reality because nobody talks like this.
Yeah.
Like, I wish that people talked like this. And were completely, like, straightforward about how they feel. But, like, this is not real.
No.
It also completely goes against, is this flirting? Our philosophy for all the other routes. It's very strange.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
like
I think other Averys would still be like, is that flirting?
Yeah, because Avery's a big dumb baby, but I think in real life, people never say that. They talk right around it, like constantly. Especially when you're young and you aren't picking up on signals well. You just talk around saying that exact thing. You just say everything but that thing.
And I also feel like this line of, like, there's some good things, like you, maybe that's like a we've already kissed before type line, but not like a do we like each other type line.
That's it could be like that could be a gamble line. That like I'm putting it out there. I'm not even thinking about it, just go, you know, like, and let's just see what happens.
I mean, they are going back to Avery's apartment. I don't know, but also Landry's a cat.
Oh wait,
By the way, Landry's a cat this whole time.
Okay, no, you know what this is? This is, oh shit, I'm taking Landry back to my apartment. I don't know for sure if I'm gonna get laid. I gotta fucking let it out there. Just fucking roll the dice, who cares? I really like you, Landry. What's happening?
Wait,
God.
make it laid? You're bringing the cat back.
Oh, right, the cat. Yeah, forget it. Okay. I don't know what the deal is with this. It was totally stupid.
Yeah, we're still in cat mode. And so they're walking, and but you know what? For all this, there's not ever a wow, this is so weird that I'm attracted to a cat internal monologue.
Yeah,
like,
we
that's
skipped
not-
over that this time. Finally.
Yeah. Ah, what a relief. And so they're
Wait, but that's not. Wait, no, that's not better.
It's
I
good
mean-
that doesn't happen. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And
Oh yeah. Okay.
and so then they hear footsteps or something like that, or like Landry like detects that someone is walking near them, and Landry's like, oh no, like somebody's here, and Avery's like, oh no, like what are we gonna do? Is it Rusty Bikes? Nobody knows. Probably not, I guess. But Landry tells Avery to like go on without him, and he's like, oh, he's after me, not you, and which is very ominous. And Avery is like, I'm not just gonna leave you here, like, and Avery picks up Landry, puts him in their hoodie, and runs to the apartment. They run in, and Avery's terrified and like totally winded, and it's like, what the fuck was that? And Landry's, but they don't swear, I guess. But Landry's like, oh, it's not. I'm sorry, I made it sound like it was more dangerous. It's just, and they're like, is this, who's this person, like an axe murderer or something? And he goes, it's just someone I don't want to see. And Avery's like, oh no, even worse than an axe murderer. Is it an X?
Oh.
And then Landry's like, no, it's like not a big deal. Like, don't worry about it. It's fine. And Landry offers to give us a massage later, as a
That's
human
right.
to apologize.
Well, at first they have that back and forth. Landry offers to give Avery a massage, and Avery's like, well, you're a cat. You can't really give me a massage. And Landry has to come out and say, no, later when I'm a human, dummy.
Yeah, because he compares it. Avery compares it to Mochi making biscuits on his back.
That's cute. That's a really good mental image. Yeah,
But like, that's what I would have thought too.
I did. That's the first thing I thought of, is when the cat's like, oh, I gotta prep
Yeah.
myself to lay down. I'm just gonna keep pushing my paws into you, but it's not a massage.
yeah.
Wait, so maybe I'm not a cat person. When is that called making biscuits?
It
like,
is
I get it.
It
That's
is.
the
I don't know,
thing.
that's what it's called.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's
Wow.
because
They
it's,
keep pushing their paws into you because they want to lay down, but they want it nice and, tender.
Fucking cat people. Jesus. Anyway, sorry.
I've never owned a cat, but I am familiar with this concept.
yeah.
Make biscuits.
All right, I sussed
like
it out.
kneading dough.
Like, it's obvious.
Yeah.
I get it. But I'm just saying, I
Well,
never
what would
heard
you
it's like
call
eating.
it?
I don't know. Pushing its paws in you.
Have you ever made biscuits?
I have not.
Let me
no,
retract that. I know you have never made
What?
biscuits.
We all know the answer to that.
Do you
Hold
know
the fuck
what a
on
biscuit
here.
is?
Wait a minute.
Cooking
the
with
fuck
bees
is-
right now.
How is everyone making biscuits but me? When is
Start
that
the
like a thing
stream.
now?
I made
That's like
biscuits today. I made
You're from the
earlier
fucking
today.
South! Where, like, no shit you made biscuits. It's like a shit you gotta do in grade school if you're in the fucking South.
I'm from New
But-
Jersey, and I've made biscuits multiple times, and I don't even bake
Where,
that much.
I know, where the fuck did that come from?
All right, I'm gonna tweet at your
Because I
wife.
cook things?
It'll be really easy. Don't worry. I'm sure they'll come out great.
Oh, Lord.
They won't
Please
be. They
don't
won't
make
be
biscuits.
good for the keto diet, though.
Well, then she won't make them, so
yeah,
fuck
you're
off.
gonna have to use some other kind of flour.
Oh, I'm gonna
Yeah, we'll
look
see.
up keto biscuits.
Alright, again,
So-
this doesn't have to be an advertisement
So
for my
again,
other
Landry
thing.
offers to give us a massage later. Again, like this is so much. Like it's not quite a rom-com. Like I don't know how to categorize like this thing that's happening other than like this is so like I don't even know, like romance novel-y, I guess. And then another super romance novel-y thing happens, which is that that Avery is talking about the pizza delivery and is like, yeah, I order pizza a lot. I'm on a first name basis with the delivery guy, and Landry's like, I'm like jealous that the pizza guy knows your birthday, and it's like.
Maybe I'm unique here, but of the guys that have delivered my pizza, I wouldn't want them to really know too much about me.
Well, I think the implication is that Avery ordered pizza on their birthday and was like, "It's my birthday!
I live alone.
Right, happy birthday!"
Will you
Oh,
sing me happy birthday?
I just thought it was like you get a free pizza on your birthday.
Yeah.
So you're like, hey, can I get
the
that free
bigger-
pizza?
The bigger kind of thing here is that he orders the pizza so often that the pizza place just knows him and maybe they
Yeah.
just give him one on his birthday.
He's got so many Pizza Lloyd pizza points.
I don't
Yeah.
care, like, how many times I order pizza. This transaction is, for all intents and purposes, anonymous to me.
It's like
I
one
want
step
this-
below porno.
I want this to be completely. I don't even want them to see my face. Put the pizza in the box, lock it. We each have our own separate keys to this lockbox. I can open it from one side. You can open it from another. It's heated in there so the pizza stays warm.
Ah, yes, the pizza decision game. You have to count on how many people can't open the doors at once.
The prisoner's
Your money for the pizza and the tip will be in there. It'll be warm because we can't turn the toaster oven off. It's just constantly warm in that box. But reach your hand in, trust me, don't get burned, and then put my pizza in there.
But
Do-
what if
do not
you
talk
give them
to
the
me?
money and they don't give you a pizza? Because that's a possibility.
Well, there's also
like when-
a gun attached to it then.
It's like when Mello kidnapped that reporter.
It's the Mexican pizza standoff.
I do not
okay.
want to see a face. I don't want to hear a voice. As far as I'm concerned, pizza just comes from God. That's how I want my pizza to be delivered.
It's right on the Sistine Chapel.
I don't want any
We're
judgment. I don't want you to
The main
think.
crux of this, which is why does this make Landry jealous? Also, to reiterate, where I'm like, this seems like such a straight romance, Landry also being jealous that the pizza guy knows things about Avery is like, I mean, how more straight romance can you get? Like, that's like, this is a romantic comedy or like a romance novel trope.
Is that a trope that the pizza guy knows your lover's
That,
name?
like, any other dude that even is a little bit friends with you is competition.
Yeah.
That's a Seinfeld episode, right? It's like, oh, what do you think of Sheila? Well, she knows her pizza guy. You know, like, she knows her pizza guy. Who knows their pizza guy? She does. She brought her pizza on her birthday. You know, and that's the whole thing.
I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with her knowing a pizza guy. I mean, am I wrong, Gary?
The pizza guy came and I looked in the bag.
Who pizza in the hive?
I looked in the bag and there were 5 Parmesan packets in there. Usually there's only 2.
Alright, 2 things. 1, why did you run over me trying to introduce B-movie into this? And 2, that Seinfeld, or is that his, like, Scandinavian friend?
That's like his brother from Sweden.
Okay, just making sure.
Oh my god. But also, that would definitely just be an episode of Seinfeld, for sure, 100%.
No, absolutely.
And so
who does know
that's
their
a weird
pizza
thing
guy?
that happens. And then Landry's like, hey, can we watch Seinfeld?
And then Elaine is like, I did know my pizza guy because I was sleeping with him. And then that's like the whole thing. Like, see, you know.
Yeah.
Or no, maybe the B movie. Damn it! The B storyline.
Seinfeld and B-movie are completely indistinct.
They are
from each other
interchangeable.
now. Yeah.
God, we're
Arrested
off the
Development
rails like a
2
motherfucker.
for some episodes.
What if the B storyline is Kramer got kicked in the head by Crazy Joe Davola again, and then he's watching B movie and he doesn't understand what's going on in the world anymore
Because he's a normal human being.
All right, I'm sorry, that's enough. I apologize for this terrible derail.
So then, so Landry
really
actually
sorry.
does ask to, or like talks
I'm
about
not,
watching a movie, and like, you know, because this is like a hangout where they're hanging out, and like is kind of like, you know, going over to someone's apartment and watching a movie together is kind of a date thing, I guess. I mean, yeah, especially for
Not when one is a cat, still.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, no, there's
It's
that
not.
part
It's
of it.
weird to Netflix and chill when
With the cat.
one of them's a cat. But they don't point this out, so that's
They
good.
call it Netflix and purr.
No,
my God.
no.
But then they're like, oh, we gotta stay focused. We're reading this book, and Landry has an issue in general throughout the evening of staying focused on what's
We're
going on.
not gonna flirt.
Yeah.
We're gonna stop a curse.
Yeah, and not necessarily for flirting either. Just like it seems like whenever Avery starts talking about magic, he like is thinking about carpentry.
So,
Ladies, don't you hate it when your man just can't stop thinking about carpentry?
so Landry does like pay attention at first because it's like, oh, are there hexes in it? It's like, yeah, but I didn't see anyone for the cat one. Oh, well, I guess the other one wouldn't be in there either. And then, once they started with hexes, and then they're just like, I'm not really so sure we should look at this anymore. And just sort of start zoning off.
Which
Like,
is
you
just,
can tell-
again, this
you can
fits
tell
into...
that the entire... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The entire ordeal, he's very, very hesitant, very avoidant of wanting anything to do with the magic book. So he's thinking about carpentry, he's talking about the DVDs, he's talking about the decorating. He's basically doing anything to steer the conversation away from the magic book.
Yeah. And it kind of fits the whole D-Vax theory of the straight
man
romance, which is just like, like, oh, this isn't about football, I stopped paying attention.
This is the everyone. Sorry, go ahead.
So finally, Avery actually gets mad and is like, you're not, and the way that Avery gets mad, again, I think plays into this whole, like, this is a romance novel type thing, where it's like, Avery gets very emotionally mad that Landry is not giving them a chance. Like, it's like, it feels like you don't respect me, you're not even giving me a chance.
Well, and it's also
this
like,
is totally...
I am doing this for you, like, I'm trying to help you out, what the hell is going on, like...
This is totally the Everybody Loves Raymond episode of Hustle Cat. Everybody loves Raymond.
That's what the ship name is, actually. Weird.
That's all that I remember from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Right.
He had the
I don't want to learn about any magic unless it's X's.
Wait, were you just doing the brother on that one?
Yes.
The brother is huge. Landry is huge. It all checks out.
Yeah, totally. I just want to build the ramp for graves. All right, thank you. Fine.
Raymond doesn't need to build a ramp. Don't you think that's funny, Deborah?
Who is this podcast for? It's just for us.
It's just for us.
Oh,
It's a podcast about housing.
I don't think the millennials are listening. Okay.
Avery also explains more about, like, what's in the book than I think we've heard before. Because Avery talks about, like, the first part is about, like, finding your magic, and then the second part is spells, and then hexes, and it seems a lot like a D&D player's manual.
Like, introduction to your magical spirit.
Yeah. Your role as a player in this game is to have fun and make meaningful decisions. It's like that, but in code. And so we kind of, I think that's the only time we really hear more about, like, sort of, like, what it really looks like in there. And it seems like it is just like an intro manual type thing about spells. And so Avery finally confronts Landry and is like, what are you doing? And Landry kind of gets real calm and kind of cold about it and is like, look, I thought that I could, do this, but I can't. I can't talk to you about this. I'm not going to talk to you about it. Bye. And he leaves. I think he jumps out the window.
Yeah, onto the tree. Just, like, takes off in cat form.
So, yeah. We're also at an hour, so, like, is this where we want to break, or do we want to keep going a little bit more?
I think we can go for a few more
close,
sitcom jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because once we get to the next scene, like, we're gonna have to kind of go for a while.
Yeah, and the next scene really reminds me of Third Rock from the Sun.
Are we...
Oh, well, in that case. So Landry's just gone now, and that's it. And I'm like, what? We told the people that the things were gonna happen, and now, like, they don't even. And Avery falls asleep on the couch and Mochi's there, and that's it.
Thank God Mochi's still there, though. Like, that would have been worse if Mochi got out.
Yeah, Mochi's also gone. Weird.
They ran off together.
Oh no, my cat stole my boyfriend. Sounds like a phone otome game.
Now we're making some biscuits.
It's on the App Store. And so he doesn't come back. Avery falls asleep on the couch and wakes up like really early in the morning for some reason, and is like, I'm awake early in the morning. What am I gonna do? How am I now? Everything's gonna be weird between us. I don't know what to do. Like, everything's weird. And so Avery goes to the cafe, and then sort of, it seems like they kind of expected it. When Avery gets to the cafe, there's carpentry stuff strewn everywhere in the front. And Landry's been working there all night, because that's what he does when he gets stressed out. And go down to the basement. Landry's in the basement working. Landry is in the basement and appears to just be sanding a piece of wood until all the wood is gone.
I just like to eat the dust.
I just like to mention, like, if, like, maybe this is me personally, but if you take off during a conversation between the two of us and you just fucking leave and run away and leave me stranded there feeling awful, fuck you! I'm not gonna go track you down, asshole!
It seems like almost an accident. Like, there's really no other place that he could be, but, like, it seemed like Avery also, like, went to the cafe because, like, they needed a place to go also. I don't know, it's weird. It's a weird thing. Mm-hmm. And so Avery is, like, hey, we gotta talk about this. We can't not talk about this. And Landry kind of pops off a little bit and admits in, like, one fell swoop that, one, he likes Avery, and two, there's another curse.
Dun dun dun.
And so then he's like, okay, fine, like, I'll tell you what happened to me.
Right. And only after some serious repeated prodding from Avery does this happen, because even at this point, Landry still does not want to talk about this. And when he does...
Do you want to tell the story?
Yeah, it's a very kind of personal thing. He tells this story about how before he had this job, he had, like, another job, and we learned that it's I think he may have called it an office job, but in any case, it was like a suit and tie kind of job, because we get CGs of him, like, in the bar with, like, the formal shirt and tie.
Yeah,
and
we
he
do.
Says, I'd had a really bad day. I got laid off, so I went to the bar, and he notices this kid there at the bar, and he's looking back and forth from the kid to the bartender, and he's kind of like, hey, bartender, is it really okay for this kid to be here drinking alcohol? And we learned that the kid is actually a witch, and Landry kind of saw through his glamour and basically got him kicked out of the bar, and that's, like, that really pisses the kid off.
It's like, because when he points it out, right, then it's almost like the bartender comes to his senses then and sees through the glamour too, right?
Yeah, like, he shakes his head and, like, his eyes bug out. It's like, what the? Yeah, get this kid out of here.
And the kid goes at Landry to be like, oh, screw you, telling the bartender, I'm gonna, like, attack you. And Landry slugs the kid.
Yeah, right? What
Landry
the hell?
gives the kid a black eye. A shiner, as he calls it.
Mm-hmm. And he says, like, oh, I'm not proud of it, but it's, like, so out of character from the Landry we've
but I
seen
beat
so
him
far.
up, and I beat up anyone for you.
That's a little much too, right? It's just like, I punched a kid.
Yeah, it speaks that it speaks to this restrained anger, and these anger problems, like, existed before the magic stuff, which is, and are not just about magic, and that, to me, is a little upsetting. Like, it's a little like, oh, you just have anger problems. Like, this has nothing to do with magic, really.
But I like the way that this is revealed, though. I like that, like, this entire read-through, we've just seen Landry as this boring, nothing character. when, you know, it's revealed that he does have anger issues, and he actually keeps a lot of things bottled up because he thinks he's going to die. Because this witch kid, put a hex on him, saying that that temper's going to get you killed one day, and I'm going to make sure of that. And the hex that I put on you is, if you get too angry with somebody, your heart will explode.
And the kid casts magic on him, and he feels his heart hurt really bad, and he just, like, knows that magic has happened to him all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a lot, also.
Yep.
Like, wow, oops, this is actually really, really terrifying. And Landry is like wandering around and runs into Graves. And Graves senses that he just got hexed and is like, oh, well, I can override the heart curse with a cat curse. That's all that I know how to do.
And it feels like this is the origin story. Like, this is how everything started, because maybe Graves is just shitty at magic.
Yeah.
I was thinking that, yeah.
He's just not very strong. And not really interested in becoming powerful, I think, is the thing. Like,
Yeah,
he's into the lifestyle.
Yeah, maybe literally the only thing he knows how to do is to turn people into cats.
Or he's got, like, an element of power, but he doesn't have the control, which is why, like, he loses battles and stuff, but he can put up decent wards. He just can't direct them the way he needs to. It seems like he's always got this, like, ability that never focuses the way it needs to.
Yeah, and he's not a very focused person, like, personality-wise, either, so it kind of makes sense. But another important thing about Landry being hexed by this witch is that he was also sort of marked as a target. There's some sort of, like, mark on him also that's like, hey, if there's a witch around, like, fuck this guy up. And that seems real? That seems like a real thing? I don't know. It's not clear. We haven't really heard about these sort of things before. So that's why he was so worried about, like, somebody following them. And Avery takes this moment to be like, so Graves is behind the cat curse, and, like, Avery's real down on Graves in this, which is weird because there were so many other opportunities to be down on Graves, and, like, Landry's the one person who's like, don't be so down on Graves.
Like, he actually tried to help me in this situation.
So
tried to help me from not dying.
And this reminds me, when they were reading the book, actually, was it when they were reading the book? But there's basically this kind of notion that he's not quite sure if that other curse is still there. Meaning, and that's the reason why, when he gets into these arguments with Avery, he has to take this moment and do the deep breaths and cool down and just never really let it get to that point. Because
you don't want to find out by your heart exploding.
Now, I don't want to be that guy, but I will say this is a lot like a plot thread from the show Lost. Like, a lot. Yeah. A very short plot thread. Which has more parallels coming up, I will say. But yeah, there's a point where a character is given this sort of pacemaker that if their adrenaline goes too high, that their heart explodes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Two excellent, well-written pieces of media lost in this game.
No.
So, Avery's response to hearing this story is, well, I wonder if that teenager is still out there and, like, we can just talk to them and be like, hey, do you, like, know what you did? And I think this is interesting that Avery's, like, default reaction to someone who is much younger like that is to be like, well, this is just a kid. Like, maybe they're they went home and cried about it, and now they'll be better, right? And it's so optimistic. Like, it's such, like, a weirdly optimistic take on it. But I guess, like, Avery's solution to like the Mason thing was like, well, we'll go talk to each other.
Well, it's super weird because it's like, this is Avery also being, this is sort of... Avery just learned he has a basically, his coworker has basically a terminal disease. And it's just sort of like, well, let's work on it.
And also, it's
that's...
this person, like, for all we know, like, this kid, like, just tried to kill Landry. And, like, Avery doesn't say, like, oh, Finley, maybe you can talk it out with your internet stalker, right? Like, that's not how that works. So it just seems weird to be like, oh, maybe you can just talk about it.
And actually, if you think about it too, for all intents and purposes, as far as this kid knows, we might have killed Landry. Yep. Like, Landry could be dead now, and this kid just walked away from the murder and stuff. So yeah, like, I don't love Avery's reaction to, like, let's go talk to him. Like,
yeah, like, he doesn't do this shit with rusty bikes,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? Totally.
It's a strange reaction. I think there's definitely, like, some merit to being like, well, maybe we can find this person and, like, somebody else can talk to them and, like, try to get some information about this person who did this curse, but not like, oh, maybe the two of you can just talk it out. Like, what?
Well, yeah, let's talk it out.
There could be
some... and the guy that almost killed you.
There could be some merit in... Maybe we can get them to reverse the death curse so that then Graves could reverse the cat curse and, you're fine then. But it's still like, I don't know, like, let's go talk to them. Let's, I do get kind of that Landry, like, shouldn't have punched him, but, like, still, that's not
it's
a
such
commensurate...
overkill. Like, they're not equivalent. Like, punching a teenager in the face and that same teenager trying to kill you are not equivalent actions. It's not like, well, you were bad too, Landry, because you punched him.
Now, let's be fair here.
And, like, so much of this seems to be going in that direction, that these two acts were equivalent. And, like,
hey,
if they
you gotta
were
think about both
both
sides.
sides were, yeah.
Avery's like, you gotta look at both sides. Yeah. And then, after that whole conversation, Avery's like, okay, but also you, at the beginning of this conversation, you also said that you like me, right? And and then they kiss.
Yay.
Before
the end.
Before the curse is broken. And I thought that this was a pretty natural kiss compared to a lot of the other ones.
It did feel a bit better.
Because also, like, Landry admitting his feelings for Avery was, like, so entwined in the conversation that, like, addressing it at the end of the conversation felt a lot more natural. I thought this was maybe the best kiss in the whole game in terms of, like, making sense for the situation.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's not like in terms of, like, best kiss overall, we all know it's Mason's.
Mason, yeah.
Oh, not in terms of approach, but not in terms of technique.
We all know Mason's the best kisser out there.
So then it's like 6 a.m. or whatever, and so they go back out of the basement, and Mason, speaking of Mason, is in the kitchen, and sees them come out of the basement and is like, none of my business.
and then Landry's like, well, no, it's not like what you think. She's like, I don't care. It's not my business. I literally do not care. If you want,
I had him in a different timeline.
It's like, if you're here though, so start chopping vegetables, and that was it.
So then Landry's like, Avery, if you need to sleep, you can just go sleep on Graves' couch upstairs, and take a nap real quick, and then Avery's like, well, what about you? And he's like, oh, later, I'm fine, I'm gonna go help Mason. And so Avery takes a nap on Graves' couch.
Yay.
Yep. And that's where we'll leave it for now.
Yeah, there's a whole other scene.
We said we'd go to when they turn human, but
the curse didn't break that easily.
Yeah, this is the only route that was actually very different from the others in terms of how the curse is broken.
Mm-hmm. It gets broken in an interesting way.
Yeah, it's a lot more woven into the story. If we want to talk about like what was written in what order, this also feels like it was written earlier because it answers a lot more like basic questions, and the plot beats are kind of woven together a little bit more in like a more unpredictable order also.
Right.
Yep.
So that was cool. But yeah, overall again, like this Avery is like a different Avery.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I don't mind this Avery so much, but
it just doesn't fit in context. Like, reading this last, I think, is probably the worst way to do it. And I don't mean, like, that I think it's a bad route. I just think it's, like this feels so out of context of what we've seen before that it feels like it doesn't fit in the same, like, texture as everything else.
So I liked that we did this last for the only reason of we finally know why the curse was put in place. Although I think it's sort of stupid. But I feel like if we went into it with all the other ones, with the knowledge of, like, the curse was specifically to help Landry, it would have fallen a bit short of, like, resolving it for everyone else. So,
was the curse specifically to help Landry, or was it just, like, a nice coincidence?
You mean from Graves' perspective?
I thought it was...
who was the first person who worked there? I thought it was Reese.
I assumed from the context that Landry was the first, but now that you bring it up, I'm not actually sure. Maybe it was just the curse was already there, and Graves, was just like, hey, I could help you if you sign on to my cursed cafe.
I know what this is. Graves couldn't find people to work at the cafe because they wouldn't pass his interview. So he kind of had to, like, grease the wheels a little. Like, you've got a curse. Why, I've got a curse. I can override that so you won't die. But you got to be at my cafe to be human, so you might as well have a job there. Thanks, pal.
I'm doing you a favor by giving you a job here. Just like I did you the favor of overriding your curse.
Yeah.
What a coincidental favor that is. Alright, so.
I mean, that seems to be kind of, how it went. I don't know. It's weird. We'll find out in the Graves route.
Yeah, we really need to, because, like, my impression was totally different. I thought it was just like, that Landry went to Graves, Graves being the witch who's sort of easily able to catch these little strays in the wild who are, cursed, and it's just like, oh, I can cure you. I know how to do this. I'll give you the cat curse. And then he's like, oh no, now everybody has the cat curse. Please don't come in my store. Oh no. Oh, well, might as well just sign a contract.
I sort of assumed, like, Landry was the first one, and Reese being sort of like the apprentice. So like, all right, I guess we're doing this.
I guess this is a business now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, exactly. That Reese was probably working there before, but it was not cursed. And then when Graves went all crazy with his cursing, now I guess I'm in this.
Right.
Reese would have said that though in his route if that.
Well, maybe Graves never told him. Who knows?
Or Reese was so embarrassed by the fact that he couldn't overturn an easy curse and couldn't help Graves in overturning the easy curse that he wouldn't say anything.
Maybe.
Never forget the big dumb baby argument.
Or maybe Mason is dead and.
All right, next time we're gonna read all the way to the end. We're gonna see how Landry breaks his cat curse, and we're gonna see what happens to Rusty Bikes.
We're gonna see how Landry breaks Rusty Bikes.
The definitive end of all the routes. There can't be any more than this.
No, that's it.
Yep.
The end.
Must be the end after this.
The end of Visual Novel Book Club.
It's not like
final.
It's not like the achievements explicitly state there's a Graves route.
I'm excited to finally have my questions answered.
Yeah, I'll bet you are. All right. Alrighty.
Next time, the final route to unlock that's not secret.
The final Landry route.
Dude, I don't know, Landry. Landry's gonna punch Rusty Bikes in the face or something. I don't know.
All right. Well, good call. Thanks, everybody.
The end.
The
end.